Hey guys, welcome to my Let's Play of Outer Wilds, the greatest video game ever made. But actually, I tricked you. I'm really playing Outer Wilds, recreated inside the second greatest game of all time, Minecraft. Oh, did you believe me? Because I fooled you again. I'm actually playing Outer Wilds, recreated inside Minecraft, recreated inside the third greatest game ever created, Geometry Dash. This is the future of gaming. Minigames in Geometry Dash are kind of an unintended consequence of the 2.0 update. They simply did not and could not exist before then because of one crucial addition: moving blocks, or the move trigger to be more precise, and also some other triggers. I guess there's an argument to be made that Flappy Bird levels can be considered minigames, but Flappy Bird levels don't fundamentally change the gameplay. The goal of a Flappy Bird level isn't any different from any other Geometry Dash level, so I don't think it counts. For it to be a minigame, you have to be achieving some other goal, controlling some other character than your standard icons. There are a million examples of levels like this. Countless levels that try to use Geometry Dash as a vehicle to host an entirely different game. And, you know, some of these are pretty creative. In theory, this is super cool, right? I played a bunch of them for this video though, and I kept running into the same problem with them. In practice, they all kinda suck. Okay, let me give you an example. There's this level called Plants vs. Zombies, which recreates the titular video game in Geometry Dash, complete with like 6 different plants, different weather effects, randomized zombie spawns, the whole package, basically. And I'll be honest, I have no idea how you would go about doing this, but I urge you to play this level and then tell me it's actually any fun at all. Because it's not. There's a laundry list of problems with it that I feel people are quick to ignore because, whoa, look how impressive this is. And you know, if you spend a lot of time and effort constructing a beautiful glass house, the end result might look really pretty, but that isn't going to make its structural integrity any more reliable. It's still going to shatter as soon as it's actually being challenged by harsh weather conditions, or an earthquake, or anything like that. And that's how I feel about this level. For starters, the controls just feel really bad. The way you move your cursor is by pressing the corresponding player buttons. Player 1, which is usually the spacebar, moves your cursor to the right, and player 2, which is typically the up arrow, moves your cursor down, which is an ironic twist of fate, if I've ever heard one. Either way, what this means in practice is that you have to cycle all the way around if you want to hit a spot anywhere up and to the left. Oh, whoops, overshot it. Here we go again. Ugh. This is so aggravating. I just want to click stuff with my mouse, dude. That's how this game was designed to begin with. This clunky control scheme leads to another problem as well, because it means you can't really react to surprise events that well anymore. In the original game, there was always at least the potential for something going wrong if you mismanaged your plans. But since the controls make it impossible to make split-second decisions, you can't really replace a bunch of plants or effectively plant a cherry bomb. What this ultimately means is that the game can't really throw any surprises your way, like in the original game, which throws some pretty tough zombies your way, and sometimes they even fall from the sky. So instead, it just becomes a slow-paced trudge as you carefully plan ahead. Once you've finished building your setup, you're forced to wait 10 minutes while the game just plays itself, because you're in no danger at that point anymore. Plants vs. Zombies is a game about planning ahead, sure, but you can never take your eyes off the game. There are plenty of zombies that are simply too dangerous to be left alone, and they will mess up your defenses. You have to constantly be paying attention. This level completely fails to capture that aspect of the game. In other words, just play the original. Okay, but surely this is kind of unfair criticism, right? I mean, there's no way to implement mouse control in a Geometry Dash level anyway. They just did the best they could. Okay, but to bring back my previous house analogy, it doesn't matter how impressive your glass house is, considering the limitations of the material you chose, because you decided to build your house out of glass. You're setting yourself up for failure, you know? This is a recurring problem, too. The biggest stumbling block with minigame levels is always the controls. Like, I recently played VVVVVV, and it's a pretty cool platformer. It's super simple in concept. You can go left, right, and you flip upside down. Now, there's also a Geometry Dash remake of this game, and since it's limited to 2 buttons, you have to press both at the same time to flip. which is very awkward. Not to mention, the gameplay just doesn't feel as smooth to begin with. There's a reason platformers are typically played with a controller with a bunch of buttons on it, because platforming with only 2 buttons just doesn't work that well. Although in the case of VVVVVV, I would recommend you play it with a keyboard. The controls are always a major issue, but it's not remotely the only one. Other prevalent problems are the lack of any sound effects, unfitting music, having to wait for the level to finish when you're already done, just general glitchiness, the lack of checkpoints. Wait, hang on a second. Don't tell me, is this the reason people are excited over 2.2? Because it would solve a lot of these problems? Oh boy, finally, with 2.2 on the horizon, we've reached GD's true potential to become the world's shittiest programming language. Bear in mind that the controls are always going to be clunky and unresponsive, because there's an added degree of separation here. Normally, when you want to move your character in a video game, your brain sends a signal to your hand to push a button, which takes a split second to get there before you actually do it. Then, the button sends a signal to the computer, which also takes a split second to get there, and then your character moves. It's basic input delay, an unavoidable fact of reality when interacting with the physical world. With minigame levels, you're introducing another step into this process. First, your brain sends a signal to your hand, then you press the button, then a signal is sent to the computer, then your unseen geometry dash icon moves, which will take a split second to activate some kind of trigger, and only then does the character on the actual screen move. It's like trying to play a video game where the input method is a Rube Goldberg machine. The end result is that minigame levels will always feel a little less responsive and a little more clunky than they need to be, even if the controls are otherwise manageable. But besides that, why do you guys even play Geometry Dash? Do you play it to play Super Hexagon? Personally, I think Geometry Dash is already a pretty good game on its own, so I enjoy playing Geometry Dash levels. If you like Super Hexagon so much, then why aren't you playing Super Hexagon instead? It's the better experience anyway. I don't get it. It's $1. Geometry Dash is 4 times as expensive, and you're just getting a worse experience. I guess it's all for the novelty of it, huh? Super Hexagon? Nah, that's boring. Old news. Now, Super Hexagon and Geometry Dash, that's exciting. God, I can already envision the comments on this video. Werwing, you're missing the point. It's not fair to make comparisons like that. Although I guess I expected the same thing on my last video. And that went off without a hitch, so maybe there are more minigame haters out there that just don't have a voice yet. Here's to hoping, I guess. Regardless, if you're going to recreate a game, it's only natural that I'm going to compare your recreation to the original. Like, come on, be reasonable with me here. But even if I were to significantly lower the bar and compare that Plants vs. Zombies minigame to a crappy old Flash game like Age of War, it's still completely blown out of the water. What's going on here? I can't see a thing. Am I in the wall? What? You must get to at least level 5 to complete the level? What are you talking about? What is that? I'm sorry guys, but this just isn't fun. It looks impressive and all, but it just doesn't make for a very fun gameplay experience. I guess that's just the gist of this entire video, though. I guess if there's one positive thing I can say about minigame levels as a whole, it's specifically about Master Game. Because unlike most other minigame levels, Master Game is actually an original creation. It has an original story and characters and world to explore. Traversing that world sucks, but at least it's something unique. Like, there's genuine satisfaction in coming to understand the world of Master Game with all of its intricacies and mechanics. Like a real video game, even if you're fighting the controls and the shitty password system every step of the way. And I think that's all there is to say. Turns out, Geometry Dash isn't actually that good of a game engine. It works much better as a level editor. So please, when you're presented with a pristine sheet of glass, please don't try to fashion a house out of it. Try making a beautiful mirror instead, or a stained glass window. Play to the strengths of the material you're using. If you want to build a house, use brick or wood instead. So yeah, I hope it didn't upset you too much with this video. I'm eager to read the comments people will inevitably leave on this one. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.